What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, so this one is a little bit surprising, right? On the surface, when you look at the history of the relationship between Shaquille O'Neal and Dwight Howard, it has been acrimonious to say the least. Okay, going back to when these guys were still playing against each other, it seemed to have started back when I think Dwight Howard started being referred to as Superman during the 2000, I think it was 8 dunk contest when Dwight Howard wore the Superman uniform or Superman costume that rubbed Shaq the wrong way, who has long been associated with the Superman logo or Superman model, whatever. I think he has it tattooed on one of his arms or something, which is crazy because none of them own the Superman moniker. So, you know what I'm saying? That's crazy in itself. But for the most part, it has been one-sided, with Shaq being very critical of Dwight Howard as far as his accomplishments, as far as, even his personality. He just never gave Dwight Howard his due. Even when he became an analyst, he seemed to always shortchange Dwight Howard. Like, I remember when he first got on TNT, he would say that the best big man in the league was Andrew Bynum, or, he would always say somebody else was a better big man. I remember one time he even said Brook Lopez, when he was much younger, when he was with the Nets, I think, was a better big man than Dwight Howard. So, and then of course the recent back and forth, you guys know the history, man. So, of course, Dwight Howard has recently been elected, I should say. He'll be inducted this fall, I believe, into the Hall of Fame. And shockingly to many, Shaq has said that he will be out there to walk out and be on stage with Dwight Howard when he's elected when he's inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Smith Hall of Fame class of 2025 was just announced.
Okay, go ahead.
Carmelo Anthony. Shout out to my Syracuse brethren. Sue Bird, Billy Donovan.
All right.
It's all the Florida. Sylvia Fowles.
Oh, LSU, yes.
Maya Moore. The 2008 USA Men's Basketball Olympic Team, a.k.a. the Redeem Team.
Got it.
And Dwight Howard officially made it to the Hall of Fame.
That's awesome.
He also tweeted out, I want Kevin Garnett, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, and Shaq to walk me out.
That's awesome. I'll do it.
What would you like to say to him?
I'll do it. I'll be there.
Really?
Of course. That's my guy.
Congratulations, Dwight, on an incredible achievement. Congratulations to you as well, Shaq.
Yeah, so y'all check out the Shaq podcast. You know what I'm saying? Good podcast. Look, this is a bit shocking to a degree, but then again, it's not when you think about it, right? Because when Shaq was coming up as a pup in the league back in the early 90s, Shaq got tough love too. I remember that. Like the OGs, the centers that was alive back then, and we had a lot of great centers still alive back then. What are you talking about? Wilt Chamberlain, Bill Russell, Bill Walton, Kareem when he was younger. You still have Big Bob Lanier, Willis Reed, Wes Unseld. Oh my God, man. George Mikan was still alive. Man, they didn't particularly like all the hype that Shaq was getting. You know what I'm saying? Like, remember, Shaq really hadn't accomplished anything noteworthy when he was selected as one of the 50 greatest players, one of the top 50 players. A lot of those guys that I named weren't on that list. And it was like, wait a minute. Okay, he's dominant, but he's only played 4 years. He hasn't won a championship. How is he on this list? So Shaq was so embarrassed personally to be on that list that he apologized to a non-center, Dominique Wilkins, now we've learned, for basically taking what people felt like it was his spot. But, you know, he didn't have any control over that. But Shaq was always very sensitive to that criticism. But then people around him, I think even his father at the time, was telling him, like, well, maybe there's some truth to some of this criticism. And early on in Shaq's career, Shaq was playing well in the playoffs, but he wasn't raising his level of play. Shaq would go out and average 26 and 12 during the regular season and 26 and 12 during the playoffs. But they were saying, you need to raise your level of play. You need to go out there and be like Wilt Chamberlain, which I will give him his credit. When he was winning championships with the Lakers, we can critique the level of competition as far as the centers, but he was putting up some monster numbers, and that's what he had to do. And when he looks at Dwight Howard, he see a guy that wasn't living up to his expectations. You know, the NBA is a fraternity. At least it used to be. And these guys communicate one another. And we heard the stories about, you know, when Dwight Howard was in LA and, you know, the first time when he was playing with Kobe. And, you know, you hear these stories about how he was saying, well, it should be easy now to win a championship. I'm playing with a great player. And winning a championship is never easy. You hear about how he was brushing aside, working with great big men like Kareem and Hakeem Olajuwon, not wanting to work on his game. You know what I'm saying? When the other big men hear this, who put in the work and in the Hall of Fame, which is a fraternity, they bristle at that. So they may be more critical of you. Because one of the things Shaq used to always tell Dwight Howard, remember, you're not a Hall of Famer yet. Meaning that you're not on my level yet. So now that Dwight Howard's in the Hall of Fame, well, now, you know what I'm saying, that's a totally different honor, a different fraternity, and plus it's bigger than Shaq. Okay? And if Dwight Howard goes out there and tweet, I want KG, who's technically not a center, but, you know, it is what it is. I want KG, Kareem, and Shaq out there to represent me. He wants the guys who he looked up to, the guys who he feel like are the best living big men that he can relate to, be on stage with him. That's an amazing honor. And of course, Shaq is an ambassador to the game. You see what I'm saying? Shaq realizes that the game is bigger than him. You know, if one of his brethren is making that journey, that once in a lifetime journey, which is basically the end of your basketball career, he needs to be out there for his fellow brother. You know, unlike some people we know who wasn't there when their banana boat buddy or their banana boat brother was inducted recently. But we're not going to say any names. But anyway, salute to Dwight Howard and salute to Shaquille O'Neal. I mean, I guess this is the thaw in the Cold War between Shaq and Dwight Howard. Detente. Like, no, would it be detente? No, I guess this would be equivalent to, I guess, Reagan and Gorbachev when they were shaking hands after the ballistics missile agreement reduction in '87. I guess that's that moment or whatever. I don't know. Or maybe it's more when not Yitzhak Rabin, when Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begin shake hands with the peace accords in 1977 with Jimmy Carter. Maybe that's the better political reference, huh? But anyway, whatever the case may be, tell me what you guys think.